My story is The Man Who Had No Story. Um, Once upon a time, there was a man named Brian O'Brien, and his job was to cut rods. Um, but one year he had cut all the rods, made baskets out of them, and sold them. So there was nothing else he could do. But he had always heard about the place where there's a bunch of rods, like 1,000 bundles. So he told his wife that he would go down there, even though he knew it was dangerous. He told his wife he would go down there to cut some rods as long as she made him a lunch. So he headed down with his lunch, and he got 2 fine bundles of rods. Then there was a big, great fog, and he could barely see. So he decided he would eat his lunch and see if the fog would go away. But once his lunch was finished, he couldn't see the finger in front of his face. So he looked around, searching for light, because he knew where there was light, there would probably be humans. He did find light, and there was a cottage there. So he went inside the cottage, and he found an old man and an old woman sitting by a fireplace. They were just sitting there and talking. They invited him in to sit down. So they all talked for a while, and then the old man asked him to tell a story. He said, "I don't have any stories to tell. I'm the man who never has a story." So the old man then said, "Okay, go to the well to get some water, so to make yourself useful." He said, "Sure, whatever I can do." But when he was going to the well, there was a great wind. He was blown east, he was blown west. And then when he finally fell, there was another huge fog. He looked around for a light, and this time he found a much bigger cottage. In this cottage, he found one man and one girl with dark black hair. So he talked with them for a while, and then the man said, "Can you play the fiddle?" And the man said that we have to go find a fiddler. We have to go find a fiddler so we can dance. But the girl with the dark hair said that we don't need a fiddler. We have the best one in the land right next to me, Brian O'Brien. So Brian said, "What? How am I supposed to fiddle? I have no clue what I'm supposed to do to fiddle." But before he knew it, he was fiddling away, and both of them agreed that nobody ever played a tune as well as Brian O'Brien. So then they were all dancing. He was fiddling, and then somebody came in and said, "We must stop this celebration. There has been somebody who died. We need a priest to mourn them." But the girl with the dark hair said that we don't need to go for a priest. We have the best one in the land right next to me, Brian O'Brien. Brian said, "How am I supposed to do this? I don't know what a priest is supposed to do. I don't know anything." But he still had to go, and before he knew it, he was saying the prayers. And everybody in the audience agreed that there was nobody better for saying prayers than Brian O'Brien. And when they were carrying the coffin to the graveyard, and Brian O'Brien was going to be the last to enter. When they were carrying it, though, there was three short men on 3 of the corners and one really tall man on the other, so it was wobbling like a lot. So Brian O'Brien, they said that they had to shorten one of the men out so it would be much safer. So a bunch of men said that they had to go to get a doctor. But of course the dark-haired girl said, "We don't need a doctor. We have the best one in the land right next to me, Brian O'Brien." So he shortened one of the men out, and when they were bringing it to the graveyard, Brian O'Brien was the last to enter. But before he got in, there was a big wind. He was blown east, he was blown west, and then he landed when there was another big fog. He went up and found the cottage, the first cottage. And in that cottage, the man asked, "Now, Brian, do you have a story to tell?" He said, "Yes, I am the man who always has a story to tell." And he never cut rods again.